Hey guys, welcome back to B&B Farms, where our goal is to try and live with our land and not just on it. Today we're down at the sawmill, our Woodland Mills HM-126, and we're going to be talking about some common maintenance or pre-season items or things that we like to do to get that mill, ready to saw this upcoming season. So grab a cup of coffee, or in my case, some Red Diamond sweet tea, pull up a chair, and let's get into this. All right, guys, I think we'll start off with some housekeeping. You can see all that bark and debris laying down under the mill. So let's get that all shoveled out of there, get us a nice place to work. My goodness, I should have done this a long time ago. Wind is not in my favor today, guys. Kind of unusual for it to be coming from the south like that. If I do this a little more often, probably wouldn't be that big a deal. I think that's about all we're going to get in that bucket. See if there's a mouse nest in here. No, there is not. All right, so we've got the cleanup done. Let me show you what it looks like. It is by no means perfect, but you know what? It's good enough for the task at hand. Okay, let's move on to some actual maintenance items that we do to get the mill ready. We're going to take a look. We're going to take a look at our air filter. I apologize, it's so dark in here. Oh. Got our air filter, we'll blow that out and take a look at it. Take off the pre-filter, it's pretty dusty. Whew, yeah, I'd say, we'll see if we can blow this out. Yep, that's pretty dirty. How do you know when it's time to change your air filter? Well, you hold it up to the sun and check to see if you can see daylight through the filter element. In our case, we can, so this air filter is still good. Obviously, you don't have to blow that air filter out. You can go ahead and buy a new one and put it in there. It won't hurt a thing, but, why spend money if you don't have to, right? Some of you are probably wondering, should I oil this pre-filter before I put it back on? You can, won't hurt a thing. If, this is a big if you put a light coat of oil on it. Put a few drops of oil on it, kind of crumple it up, and then wrap it in a paper towel or a rag to absorb all that oil. Remember when we talked about being able to see light through this air filter was a good indication that it was still, still good? That holds true up until this paper, this pleated paper in this air filter gets oil on it. You will still be able to see daylight through it when it's oil soaked, but air will not pass through it. So keep that in mind. If you oil your pre-filter, very, very sparingly. Got our air filter back on. Notice we lined up the arrows with the sun, indicating warm weather operation. So yeah, we're ready for summer. This would be probably the point where you'd want to change the oil on that Kohler engine on this Woodland Mills HM-126. I changed the oil on ours, I think at the end of August last year, so it doesn't need an oil change. If you're going to go ahead and do that, you'll need 2 quarts of oil. Kohler will probably tell you to run 10W30 in the engine. You can get by running straight 30 if you stay above, let's say 40, 50 degrees. In other words, if you're not going to be doing any winter milling, which is, what we do, we're fair weather millers, then you can run a little heavier oil. Otherwise, stick with the 10W30. So we've talked about changing the oil. We've got our air filter cleaned. What about the spark plug? It's kind of like the air filter. Spark plugs are cheap. Doesn't hurt a thing just to buy one and stick it in there. But my experience as a small engine mechanic for many years has taught me that spark plugs either work or they don't. So if the engine is running good on the plug that's in it, I'm going to leave it in there. It's up to you guys, though. I'm going to pause for just a minute right here to talk about a new segment that we're thinking about implementing here at B&B Farms in our videos. Maybe we'll call it What We Watch or something like that. And what it pertains to is other YouTube channels that we like to watch that we find, informative, educational, and downright entertaining. And since we're down at the sawmill, I think it's appropriate that we start off with Two Guys Timberframing. You've seen us cut lumber on this mill many, many times. Two Guys Timberframing takes that to another whole level. Dan and Jay are master craftsmen. If you're at all interested in how they put timber frames together, how they cut all those really cool joints and attach all that stuff, you need to head over to Two Guys Timberframing and subscribe to their channel. Tell them B&B Farms sent you. And by the way, I'd love to hear what you guys like to watch. Maybe there's another channel up there that we would like to watch also. So drop me a line down in the comments. Tell us what you like to watch, and we'll go check them out. Take a minute to look over the belts. You can probably see some wear on this one right here, like right in there. It's probably going to need to be changed, sometime pretty soon. Got a little bit of fraying going on, not too bad. We'll go ahead and run it for a little ways. Check the belts on the idler sheave. Make sure it doesn't have a whole lot of buildup on it. That makes it hard for the blade to track. That one looks pretty good. So we'll roll it a little bit in the direction of travel. Make sure everything's turning okay. No weird noises. Looks pretty good. Let's lubricate it. I'm going to go ahead and just lubricate the carriage with some good old WD-40. At least most of the carriage. I'll show you where I make a distinction there. Drop me a line down in the comments and let me know what you guys are using to lubricate the cables and the pulleys and the sheaves and all that stuff on yours. I'd be interested in knowing if there's something better out there. I'm just going to be kind of liberal with it. Look at that. I just now noticed that. Bird droppings. There's always that one bird, right, that has to make your mill or your tractor or whatever it is their personal toilet. Rose pretty good. Got some rust in the sheaves that's going to wear off the first time we start milling, but that's all right. All right, I'm going to grease these posts that the mill head rises up and down on. They've got like a bushing in there that it slides on, and for that, I'm going to use this LPS greaseless lubricant. We've had pretty good luck with it. Sawdust doesn't stick to it. And I'm just going to give it a liberal dose of it. Let it run down in there. Truth be told, we use this many times throughout the season. It's fairly expensive, but it's done a good job for us. Thank you, Mr. Bird, or Mrs. Bird. Let's make sure the lubrication still works. We'll open the needle valve all the way. This needle valve is different from the one that comes on the mill. We've got a video that details, how and why we switched to this one. It works a lot better than the stock unit. I'll put a link to that video at the end of this video, and you guys can check that out if you're interested. All right, we got it open. Let's hit our handle. There we go. Everything's okay there. We can dial that back. Matter of fact, we'll just shut it off because we don't need it right now. All right, let's see if we can get it fired up. Remember, this is the same fuel that's been in this engine since August. So, choke on. Let's see. Whoa. First pull, guys. First pull with, 7-month-old fuel. All right, we'll let that warm up. Guys, up to this point, we've been strictly concerned with cleaning the mill and some basic maintenance procedures. But now we're going to get down into what I consider the most important thing of all. We're going to take a look at how the blade relates to the mill, to the bunks. In my opinion, I'll probably get some flack over this, but it is much more important for your sawmill to be flat rather than level. Yeah, sure, ideally we want them to be both. But if I have to choose one, I'm going to choose flat over level every time. I'll show you how I do that. All right, here's the setup that we've made to ensure that our mill is cutting accurate, square, flat lumber. I'll show you how we get that set up. I'm not going to go into great detail over this because, frankly, we did a complete video on how we do this last year. And I'll put a link to that video at the end of this video, and you guys can go check out, and get all the particulars and more in depth. We're just going to breeze through this real quick and kind of touch the highlights right now. Okay, this is pretty simple. We've got blocks on both of the end bunks, one on each side of the end bunks, and a string stretched between them. We've got a hardwood block that we milled a slot in it. So from here on out, we check each bunk and see if that string falls right in that groove. It does. Go down to the other one, another bunk, check it, falls right in it, and so on and so forth. We just keep going down, making sure that that string fits right in that groove, right like that. And then we go to the other side, do the same thing. Looks good. Yep. Looks good. Looks good. Perfect. So I'm not going to do anything as far as leveling the bunks. They're in good shape. Now we need to check the blade, relationship to the bunks. To do that, we're going to use this block that we had earlier with that slot milled in it. We're just going to set it. We're going to use the back side of the blade. What we want is for that blade just to sit right in that groove. And then we'll check the other side to make sure it is the same. We've already established that our bunks are right where we need them to be. Now I need to know that our blade is right compared to the bunks. This end could actually come up just a little bit. Let's move it on down and check another bunk. There we go. That looks good. And that looks good. We just repeat the process all the way down the mill. So we've got our bunks all nice and flat, and we have the blade in the same plane as the bunks. One more thing to check, we want to make sure that our backstops, our log stops, are at 90 degrees to the surface of the bunks. Let's check that. All right, I've got my square set up on the log bunk. The wind's about to blow it off, and I've got the log stop raised all the way. About all I can do is just kind of lower that square and watch that gap between the square and the log stop as it goes up and down. The problem being that this bunk right here is rectangular tubing, and it's hollow, of course, being tubing, and it gets cupped after a lot of heavy use, and this square doesn't want to sit on it, like it should. The fact that the log stop is not in line with the bunk is detrimental to being really able to use this square to any real accuracy. In my opinion, the best way to do this and make sure that your log stops are at 90 degrees to your bunks is to put a log on the mill. Make a couple cuts, flip the log, take your square, put it on the log, and make sure that cut you made is a true 90 degrees, and then you'll know. So if you put a log on the mill and you discover that you're not cutting 90 degrees to the bunk, what do you do about straightening up that log stop? Well, I can't speak for every mill, but on a Woodland Mills, it's got this bolt right here with this jam nut, and you can run this bolt in and out, and it will take that log stop and shift it. So you can adjust it to make sure that you're cutting 90 degrees on your cants. Well, I think that's going to do it. I am convinced that our Woodland Mills HM-126 sawmill is ready to cut accurate lumber. I hope you were able to take something away from this video, maybe learn a thing or two, or maybe just enjoyed watching it. It's a good thing that we're ready to cut lumber because we have a lot of projects going on this year. We're going to build a chicken coop. Yep, we're probably going to get some chickens. We're going to build a cold room back in our maple syrup sugar house to store maple sap in during syrup season. We're going to build another cold room to hang deer in during deer season, and we're going to work on an outhouse, but maybe not the kind of outhouse you're thinking of right now. So stick around. We got a lot going on. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Get outside. Be nice to one another. Guys, I'll see you on the next video.